Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am Jen Smith. I'm a mindset coach and energy healer. And Jenny is with me as well. And she's the co founder of Thrive Hot Yoga and Thrive Mindset. Today, we're going to have a juicy conversation about consciousness. And are you giving too much power away? Are we giving too much power away? I wanted to just start with a quote here because I was reading this Neville Goddard's book, which is a wonderful book. And one of the quotes here is a man's foes are those of his own household. And that comes from Matthew 6. And his household, which goes on to explain, is his state of mind. He changes his future as he rises his day. So that's really powerful. Are we giving too much power away by the way we think, by our thoughts, our feelings, our actions? Or are we keeping that interpersonal power that we all have? So, welcome, Jenny. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Jen. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yes. It's a wonderful day. So, what did you think about that quote?
Yeah, well, I think, with everything that's going on in the world right now, it is very easy to feel overwhelmed, maybe feel some despair. Like there are forces that are moving around us and that seem to be in control of our government, our society, our culture, that may not have our best interests in mind. And when we start thinking and feeling that way, we become a victim. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I think about the Wizard of Oz, how after, at the end of the whole movie, there's just a little guy controlling a bunch of switches behind a curtain.
Mhm.
And I sometimes think, you know, if the people who are in charge of our world, whoever they are, whether they're government leaders or thought leaders or people who are in charge of industries, if they have some knowledge of consciousness and they know that what people are thinking and feeling on a subconscious level is going to create itself and express itself in the outside world, that maybe they could manipulate the way we think and feel and make us all feel like victims, like we're not in control, like we're like we don't have any real way of promoting change within ourselves and our culture, and we just got to go along with all the stuff that's going on. That they could program into us that the world is a scary place, that there are nefarious people in charge, and if we all buy into that, we're all creating it.
Mm,
And I think that we forget
absolutely.
our own power and the power of our own consciousness, not just in our own world, but in the collective consciousness as well. So if enough of us take a look at the news and, what's happening online and social media and say, no, thank you. I'm choosing calmness, clarity, power, my own ability to create the world that I want to live in, that we'll
Mhm.
start to see a shift and that those headlines will start to fade away a little bit. And even if the headlines don't fade away, we'll notice in our own lives, in our own communities, that that's just not true. That what we're seeing on the news has no relevance in how we're living our daily lives. And I think it has to come from the ground up, like enough of us choosing a mindset of clarity, a mindset of like personal power, knowing that someone who's on the news, their consciousness doesn't count more than ours. Ours, we are as powerful as everyone else in the world. And when we think empowering thoughts individually, and if we do it collectively, like a handful of people thinking, okay, this is the direction I want to see the world go in, that we can shift things.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, you said a quite a few powerful things there, but you mentioned the Wizard of Oz, and at the end, it was one little guy controlling everything, right? And what popped
Mhm.
to my awareness right away is in our reality, in the reality that each of us create for ourselves, because we all have our own reality. Every
Mhm.
individual does.
Yeah.
Is that little guy that's controlling everything is us. We're controlling our own reality.
Mhm.
So, how do we wanna think about things? How do we want things to look? But then you overall picture with the collective consciousness and, I can't control what other people are doing. That's their reality. I can decide
Right.
where I want to engage. Where do I want to
Mhm.
engage? Where do I want my reality to be? How do I want it to be? And through my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, I can create my reality. I can pull in the pieces that I want to fit into my life to make my life full and good. And what that does is that if enough of us just work on us and our thoughts and our feelings and
Mhm.
our actions and
Mhm.
how we beautiful world to be, that allows all of these divine thoughts because we're thinking positive, we're thinking of the good. That allows those divine thoughts to go into the collective consciousness that other people can grab onto.
That's right.
So,
That's
yes,
right. That's a really
and
good way
that's
of
our
summing
work.
it up,
That's
then.
everybody's work is just work on
Yep.
yourself,
Working
right?
on themselves, and it's like when you do it, then someone else can do it. Are you familiar with the work of Rupert Sheldrake?
I'm not. Mm-mm.
He's an amazing scientist, and, he's done a lot of work on studying, like, the collective field of consciousness of different
Mhm.
species, and, he did studies on oh, I lost you again. Oh, there
Oh,
you
no.
are, you're back.
We
Okay,
got
we'll just keep
disconnected
going.
again. We'll
We
get
got
through
disconnected
this.
and
I'm not sure
reconnected.
what's going on
Okay.
with the technology.
All right. Well, that's okay. So it touches on your point about, when we choose to work on ourselves and improve our own lives, that other people can kind of grab onto that from the collective consciousness. So Rupert Sheldrake did work study on rats, and he would teach a certain species of rat to learn a trick. And once one rat learned that trick, other rats became able to learn that trick much more easily. Now, he was based in
Yeah.
London, but what he found was that rats in other parts of the world, that same species of rat, learned that trick much more easily after one rat had done it because it was in the collective field
Yeah.
of rats, that
There's other
knowledge.
studies about that too. I mean, there's multiple studies on, different species that do that. Across the world, they'll
Mhm,
pick up the same habits because it's out there in the collective, thought. So
mhm.
today's world, I think it goes back to what is it that we want in our lives and and what are we paying attention to? It's not like we're sticking our sand in or sticking our head in the sand, which I hear people say sometimes and saying, I I'm not aware of that. We are aware of
Mhm,
things that are happening. We're just not choosing to give any energy to it because that's not gonna help the situation, right? We
mhm.
know thoughts, feelings, and actions. We're gonna choose to give our energy to the positive, to the good, because that's how you increase this collective consciousness with all the goodness.
Yeah, and just to reframe everything that's happening as well, I kind of look at it a little bit differently. I think over the last couple decades, I see a lot of people have engaged in practices like yoga, meditation. They're working on themselves, whether it's through therapy or coaching or all these qigong or tai chi or
Mhm.
whatever practice speaks to them. Like these practices are on the rise, and I think consciousness is on the rise. And as consciousness rises, then all these dark corners of our culture start to kind of come to the surface, and we're starting to see them because they can't exist anymore in those higher states of consciousness. Um, I'm a meditation teacher as well. And one thing we tell meditation students is when you start meditating and consciousness rises, you may have some discomfort sometimes because old stresses and strains start to unknot themselves from your nervous system and they start to release and let go. And we can experience that as discomfort, maybe as a negative thought, because just like in a room, like if you're in a dark room and you slowly turn on the light, it looks like shadows can be moving around in the room. But really, what's
Mhm.
happening is you're just illuminating everything. And I think as so many of us have worked on our own state of consciousness, as we meditate and we practice yoga and we really, hold ourselves accountable for our thoughts and actions, that up levels the collective consciousness. And I think now we're seeing the shadows starting to move, right? And
Mhm.
they're not real, you know? And as we get into higher states of consciousness, we realize that so many things that we hold on to and attach to as real, they're not. What's real is, our awareness, the I
Mhm.
amness, the I am that of creation is the ultimate reality of who we are. And, it's just interesting to see what's been lurking there in the shadows. And I think we can kind of take that perspective. Like, isn't that interesting that all of this has been lurking there? We didn't know it, and it's on its way out now. It's like
Mhm.
goodbye. Goodbye
Yeah.
to these old ways of thinking, these
It's
old ways of
it's like
being.
it's like pulling it to the surface and then seeing the light on it, right? Absorbing
Yep.
that into the light, and yeah, I see wonderful things happening. I know, you had mentioned something the other day about, something that was in the news or something that someone mentioned to you, and why does that and people can get into the mode of researching and trying to figure out why it's happening, right?
Mhm.
And, I know that I had done that, oh gosh, it was probably about 5 years ago, until I realized and really went down those rabbit holes until I realized, "Wait a minute, there's nothing I can do about this." Until my level of awareness raised enough to say and to know through study and through just intuition that the only thing I can do is work on me in my
Yep.
thoughts. That's how I can
Mhm.
contribute to the overall whole and collective society. And in the meantime, I'm creating my own reality in the way that I choose to have life. So
Yep.
it's all great.
It's all great. It is. It's true. And
Mhm.
and you started by quoting the Bible, and
Yeah.
I know it says in there, "I am that I am." And
Mhm.
we are all that collective I am. We are all children of God. We are all endowed with the power of manifestation. Um, and I choose not to use the word creation because I think all of creation is complete already. It's already been created. Now we can just choose to manifest the aspects of creation that we want to align ourselves with.
I love that because that's powerful too. Yes, of creation is already done. And now here we are, us our lives creating what we want within the larger part of creation. So that's
Mhm.
why the possibilities are limited. There's every possibility that you can think of for your life, that you can imagine, that you can dream of
Mhm.
is already there. It's created.
Mhm.
What do we wanna line up with? What do we wanna be in alignment
That's
with?
right.
And
Yep.
it's our
What do we
choice.
wanna be? It's our choice. And one of the thoughts that I think every day, because I am aware of what's happening on the news and in our culture and in our society, is that I choose the timeline, the manifestation, where
Mhm.
good people rise up, where whistleblowers speak out, where leaders with integrity stand up and start leading, where there are new creative solutions where people only saw problems, that there's a new way of thinking, doing, acting, behaving that's in it's in higher alignment with who we are as human beings, and that all these people are rising up now. They're all rising up and they're coming into politics, industry, in the world of thought leadership. And, when I think that thought, I feel a sense of ease in my body. And so, if that's helpful for other people to just think, okay, the shadows are showing themselves and new leaders are rising up who are in integrity, it's like we could create that or manifest that or jump into that timeline where that's the reality.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. It's interesting. It's interesting to I think sometimes when we try to think about why and try to figuring it all out, anything and we talk about everything's already created. So which
Mm,
timelines are we jumping into? It's like if we want to look at the positive things of life, we can find the evidence there. If we wanna
mhm.
look at the negative things, we can find the evidence there. So reading why, what is that really? What do you want it to look like? What do you want your world to look like? What do you want the collective
Mhm.
world to look like? And just move in
Yep,
that direction, right?
absolutely. And just become aware, like
Absolutely.
I know, well, and just become aware when those old thoughts start to come up, like, oh, that's just an old thought. That's an old thought from an old way of thinking. If there's stress about what's happening in the world or, in life, and just remind yourself, I can think a different thought. I can choose a different thought that's going to lead to a different outcome.
Yeah, there was I think that might help people too, it's something that I've done, and this is about revising your day. Oh my goodness. Okay, we went off there for a minute. It's about revising your day, and, as we have the power to create the life that we want, and it's not that hard. We have to use our imagination because we're continuously creating what we want. So that's why we wanna be in the energy of all the good, positive things. That's what we realize what we want to see in our world. And part of this is reviewing your day. At the end of the day, take a big review of your day, everything that's happened. And if there was something that was unfavorable, you just take that part out, insert in the blank for it to be, and review it again. And I did this for 30 days in a row, and I still use this practice quite a bit, but it immediately changed some of the things in my reality, and I think it's so powerful, and that's the power that we have, that personal power that we have to change our reality, to create our Jenny, have you
I love
used that
it. Well,
revision of the day? Or
you taught me that technique, and I'm so glad that you're bringing it up again because it's reminding me that I need to use that at the end of the day because it really shifts everything. And I've done that when I've had disempowering experiences during the day, and I just
Mhm.
relive my day in my mind as if things happened differently. And then I go to sleep feeling different, I wake up feeling differently, and then I notice different outcomes in my life when I do that. So thank you for bringing that back up because I personally am gonna start using that technique again.
Yeah, there was a story, in the book, it's a chapter on the pruning shears of revision, and, the a lady who had hurt her foot, and at night, she reviewed the events of the day, and by the morning time, her foot was completely healed, and I think about all the energy healing work that I do and that I do for myself, and that's what we're doing. We're visualizing synergy to those areas that need healed, if it's a physical sort of healing, and, knowing that it's gonna be healed. And it works. It's the power of pulling the energy in, that good positive energy, visualizing the healing, and knowing it's gonna happen. And that is how easy it is if we can get our minds to believe that, because it's
Yeah.
true.
Mhm. And I think too, like, it just shifts how you're feeling about yourself and your life. It doesn't feel good. It's not good for our health, our mental health, our physical health, our general well-being to be stressing all the time. It dampens everything. And even just on that subtle level of changing how you feel on the inside, it's huge, that technique, like it can immediately shift how you're seeing your life and your world.
Mhm. And the feeling you get from it that you
And the
mentioned.
feeling of it.
I
Yep.
think it's super important for people to start understanding or start feeling what they feel on the inside, just quieting the mind.
Mhm.
What do you feel? What do you feel? It's a practice. It's a practice that
Mhm.
through meditation or through whatever other means that people are drawn to. Part of how you can start to have deliberate creation as well, because you can get into that space and create from
Mhm.
things.
Yes.
So, wow, we've mentioned so many different things today, and there's
I
so many more
know.
that we could talk about.
I
So I think the
know.
takeaway, what would you say the takeaway is for today about our title is, "Are you giving away your personal power?" And thinking in terms of today and what people may be involved, not
Yeah,
everyone pays attention to the news. What what would be the main thing for people to take away from today?
that you are powerful. Don't forget how powerful you are. You are a powerhouse. You are a child of God. And your place in this world is equal to everyone else's. There is no one who is above you. There is no one pulling your puppet strings. You are the creator of your life and you get to decide. So don't let what appears to be a solid outside world determine how you're feeling on the inside. Live your life from the inside out and then just notice how the outside starts to shift.
Mhm. That was so good. That was so good. So one thing that we can take away from today, one that we can start putting into our world now, and Jenny, you and I do this to create our reality, and I encourage everyone to do it, is really think about what do you want to look like, and then shut out anything from the outside world from your 5 senses, because you create from the inside out. Shut out of these things from the outside world that are influencing you. So if it's something to do, I challenge you, shut off the news for 60 days if you need to. 30 days, 60 days, and see how your life changes. Just see how your life changes. A lot of the things that we've talked about today, the real power comes from whenever you experience this in your own
Mhm.
life, because then you prove to yourself, "Oh, wow, this is real. This is real information that can change my life in a big way." Shut off your TVs,
Mhm.
shut off the news for 60 days if it's things that isn't good for you and that you don't want in your life. See how your life changes, and pay attention to only the good, and you'll start pulling that goodness into your consciousness and start changing your reality.
Mhm. Yep. And one thing I did too is I shut off all social media because for me, it was making me feel bad when I would look at it. Um, it was like just analyze your life. How are you feeling when you interact with social media, with the news, with the internet? And just like you said, fast, take a media fast in whatever way works for you.
I love a media
Very
fast.
helpful.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
really that is, we talk about addictions in the world, and we have a few that most people look at. But anything that takes your attention away from the truth of who you
Right.
really are, your inner authority is an addiction. So that can be workaholics. That could be watching the news, maybe addicted to the news. But anything that takes your personal power is an addiction.
Mhm.
So 60 days to
It's an
turn it
addiction.
off. See what happens.
Yep. And the thing is, your biggest commodity is your attention. And
Mhm.
so if you're spending a lot of time on social media, even if it's watching like pet videos, your attention is on that. And when your attention is taken away from what you are creating, you lose a little bit of your own juice. You know what I mean? Like when you are focused on what you want to see in the world or in your life, and your attention is really on it, then you're harnessing your attention for yourself. But everybody's trying to grab it. Every social media platform, their whole goal is just to grab your attention for as long as they can. The news is there. It's just trying to grab your attention. So they're all throwing out things that elicit emotional responses, trying to get you pulled in. And as soon as the attention is gone, you've lost it. You're no longer using it for yourself. You're giving it away to other people. And it's so precious. So guard your attention.
Guard your attention, which is guarding your energy, right? Tap
It's
into the
guarding your
source
life.
energy and
Mhm.
create your own personal power. Hold on to your own personal power.
Yep.
That was good. 26 minutes in now. And so I think it would be good to sign off for the
Mhm.
day. Any other
Agree.
last words of wisdom?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope you can take away some good things that can be implemented into your life and back next month. Have a wonderful day.